A pleasure to meet y'all at last. Well, today's August 31st, 2021, and I might as well say today is going to be a pretty big time because after all, with a lot of missed opportunities that have come around, and of course with a lot of lack of content, I really do feel like I could have done a whole lot better on this. So as a result, let's just keep going with it. Starting with, well, we got ourselves a Netflix exclusive as well, which is also an original, released in May 2019, Rim of the World. It's basically another one of those that tries to be like Stranger Things or Stand By Me or The Sandlot. It's basically that classic cliche where a group of minors are trekking to find something in their life. And what this is basically is a group of 4 kids, misfits, who are completely different from each other, who come together inside of a summer camp. This summer camp, unfortunately, becomes the beginning of an alien invasion that supposedly is intent on taking over the world. And what ends up happening here is pretty much just a gravy that's sitting on top of a sundae that could honestly be full of anything. Though I will say that some notable things are pretty much put into place. Starting with the cast. I do happen to like how they try to be very similar to that of Stranger Things or even the new It films, but unlike both of them, they had a lot of flair. But here, I don't really get to see that. Maybe it's because, unlike many of which that we've seen, like in Stranger Things we have actors like Finn Wolfhard and Millie Bobby Brown, but here we have ourselves people who are different. It's not to say though that a lot of franchises should pretty much have different child actors to help distinguish them apart, while having some of the same actors that we've known from a lot more well-known environments. But the thing is that I'm not really seeing it here quite as much as I would in Stranger Things or It or many of these other more recent films that are entitled to groups of children figuring out what to do in order to save the world from anything by any means. Of course, with that in mind, Rim of the World is certainly, without a doubt, an eerie, cheesy sort of thing relating to alien invasions. It does make sense though that we still do have that as a trendy topic because, of course, we're familiar with the early 1990s, which that was a point where dinosaurs were quite a huge deal, and then in the 2000s and 2010s up until right now, to this very day, we've had ourselves zombie films. And then, of course, at the same time, we've also had alien in films beginning as far back as the 90s with Independence Day, pretty much, as well as the 1999 version of My Favorite Martian, pretty much. But going all the way to today, over 2 decades, I'd say by this point in time, we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of those things. At the same time, though, we also have ourselves a lot of different genres put into place. For Rim of the World, being a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes, I honestly will have to say, it's definitely no Stranger Things. But if there are some highlights I'd have to say here, then well, the plot does basically start with the satellite crash landing on Earth. All 4 of the kids are determined to figure out how this alien invasion happened and how they can stop it pretty much. A person ends up coming out of the satellite and ends up dying, but not before giving them a specialized key. A key that is, of course, able to access anything inside of military databases that are chock full of the types of equipment that they'll need, plus a lot more, as a way to stop the invasion for good. What ends up happening then is pretty much just, well, a long trek on foot, as they pretty much have no way of communicating via cellular or email or otherwise. And they also don't really have many other ways to get there faster, up until it comes a point where they end up encountering a wall. They go in there, they pretty much come out, and well, they actually figure out how to drive a vintage muscle car down the roads And I tell you, when it comes to the effects around here, they actually are not bad. At least for something that's recent. Much more recent than many other films out there that still hold up extremely well. I can't really say for sure that it's supposed to be a total embarrassment or if it's just a brilliant way, because the fact that they managed to put a lot of detail on this is quite possibly something. It's certainly one to be desired, much like with the new Tremors films, where a lot of effects are certainly worth having around, especially with lower budgets being put into play, and the occasion knowing that a lot of these things out there also cannot really be done with budgets that are this low in comparison to other gigantic blockbusters. In the end though, the kids do manage to find a way to shut down the alien invasion by basically heading into the government buildings and somehow convince military personnel that they're able to do it. And when they fight the aliens in this film, or at least try to evade them, it's almost kind of like a combination of Jurassic Park and Men in Black, pretty much. I tell you, a lot of these periods where aliens are stalking them certainly is reminiscent a lot of these older cliches where the antagonistic characters are pretty much just stalking or creeping up on them, which is crazy by any means. It certainly is something that we'll see for a long time, even with more recent media not performing all too well. But in all seriousness, I won't really go as far to say that with something like this, from beginning to end, it doesn't necessarily seem to disappoint all too much, but it's just the fact that even with only one viewing that I gave to it some time ago, it does go to show we're probably not really going to be seeing a lot more like this. So, with that in mind, that's just probably what I have left to say about it. So, I'm giving this a score of only 6.9 out of 10, which seems right for me pretty much. And with that in mind, I guess that concludes this little review right here. But here on August 31st and onwards, I'm probably going to be doing a lot more than just maybe one episode a day. I'll probably escalate it to maybe 2 a day, 3 a day, 4 a day, who knows. Especially with the fact that I've missed out on a lot, and production has been quite lower most of the time. So if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.